Okay, so your appointment as CEO comes at a moment of what I guess we could call unprecedented demand for digital infrastructure. It'd be good to understand from your perspective what makes it such a pivotal time for Hyphen's data center business.
Um, well, yes, okay. I think global demand for global digital infrastructure is actually reshaping the built environment. It doesn't just concern or affect data center projects or infrastructure projects. And we at Hyphen have over 30 years of sector experience to be able to respond to this challenge. The business is already operating at pace with more than 2 gigawatts designed and 6 gigawatts master planned in the last 3 years. This includes district scale projects such as Rio AI City, for which we won an award at the World Architectural Festival in last November. And this has positioned us really well for this moment. We have also scaled up a few positions up to the 75th place in the World Architecture 100 2026. So yeah, I think it's an interesting moment in time to be working on the critical digital infrastructure sector.
Yeah, and you mentioned there the 2 gigawatts that you've designed, and I think master plan
Mhm,
more than 6 gigawatts in the last few
mhm.
years. Are there any particular lessons you learned from that scale of delivery in terms of influencing how you're going to be approached being one of the leaders in the digital infrastructure sector?
Yes, certainly. The bigger the project or the bigger the investment, the bigger the opportunity, but also the bigger the risks. So scale is actually reinforcing the value of early stage advisory. Early decisions are key for a good life of the project. This is where actually the biggest commercial technical program decisions are made at early stages. There is huge relevance of the first steps taken to put things together and to plan your strategies accordingly from the client perspective, from the real estate perspective, from the investor. So consistency matters. Repeatable standards combined with local intelligence are essential to delivering complex programs across multiple regions and asset types as well.
Yeah, yeah, and I believe you've played pretty much a central role in terms of expanding Hyphen's data center work across both Europe and Latin America. I guess with that
Mhm.
perspective, it'd be good to understand how you see regional differences shaping the way maybe the hyperscalers and the AI ready facilities, which are obviously the sort of current focus, yeah, how they're planned to deliver. Do you see a lot of variation in different locations?
I'm sure if we were asking our clients, probably too many variations. Actually, regular differences come up. Regions are different. Power availability varies. Climate, infrastructure, actually are different. So that, unfortunately, for standardization means there is no single global solution. However, we are very well embedded locally, so we have the ability to communicate in a, let's say, global language whilst keeping hands on the ground. So we allow our teams to thrive, making the most of local opportunities or conditions. This is the best way to reduce risk and improve the outcomes. Be very well connected locally.
Okay, and in terms of the sort of focus of the business, I think you position yourself as both an architectural delivery partner and
Hmm.
advisory-led practice, and
Hmm.
perhaps it'd be good to understand how that advisory role adds value on complex data center and campus scale projects.
Yes, well, certainly. Like I said before, advisor input at capital and asset strategy level helps our clients make better long-term decisions before design is fixed. Once design is fixed, changes have huge impacts on timings, budget, and is a potential way forward, but certainly not the most desired one. So this advisory approach actually supports commercial viability, program certainty, or also flexibility, not just architectural sound delivery.
Okay, and one of the most interesting developments, perhaps I know you've been involved in projects like Cloud HQ's $5 billion
Hmm.
Querétaro campus and the Rio AI City Master Plan. And I think
Hmm.
both of those reflect this shift towards large scale master plan digital infrastructure districts. And I think the Middle East is perhaps doing similar things, developing cities and regions. Um,
That's right.
what is driving this evolution beyond, basic single site data center facilities?
Well, you say evolution. I think it's diversification of the sector in many different building types or outcomes in a digital built shape. Hyperscale and AI workloads certainly demand long-term scalability, infrastructure resilience, and land strategies that single sites can't always support in a way that we haven't seen before. So the industry standards are changing very, very quickly, and let's say models or optimum ways of development are always in constant evolution. Master planned campuses allow infrastructure phasing and environmental considerations to be addressed holistically from day one. So you're looking maybe at a 10-year phased development, but certain decisions can be made at day one to favor, um, you know, a better future.
Okay, and in terms of the AI ready data centers, which are, I say, the sort of current major focus for the sector, from an architectural standpoint, are there particular things that AI workloads are
Mm,
changing when it comes to design priorities? And I guess, there's the usual suspects, power and
mm.
cooling, but then land use, and I think you mentioned scalability earlier. So, what sort of impact is that AI focus having?
Well, AI certainly increases very significantly the power density and, as a consequence, cooling requirements. It does make early planning and land strategy more critical. Also, supply chain considerations come into place in terms of having this flexibility and future proofing, which is actually essential in projects like Rio AI City, where scalable and modular planning is central to long-term viability. So we need to think, how would this campus or infrastructure look day one, but also day one in year three, day one in year six. That's that's the main change, I would say. Spatial power and cooling requirements.
Okay, and as CEO, I think you've gone on record saying that digital infrastructure is reshaping the built environment. Are there anything particular things you think that maybe traditional real estate stakeholders are sort of underestimated in terms of the impact of data centers on cities and regions?
I think it's still early days in terms of how we integrate critical digital infrastructure in our cities, but we will see many different models we probably can't even imagine. Smart cities are constantly being talked about. However, this requires obviously a long-term planning, long-term investment, and this will the way I imagine it is that the smart part of the cities will be much, much better connected, much better integrated into the data center infrastructure, and that will produce different urban spaces, different building typologies, different ways to connect. physically and digitally as well. They are no longer isolated assets. They have the ability, because of their size and seizure, to impact the regional infrastructure and land use, together with the economy. So, yeah.
And I'm guessing as well that when it comes to smart cities, it's far easier, although clearly a much bigger undertaking and expense, but it's far easier to start with an empty site. As I say, I mentioned the Middle East, they've got the
Hmm.
space, rather than, for example, if you want to turn London into a smart city, that's incredibly complicated because you've obviously got a massive existing built environment to somehow turn into a smart one. So do, I guess the question is, how are we likely to see smart cities and the data center and digital infrastructure on sort of greenfield sites much more likely than upgrading, should we say, existing cities where there are logistical challenges?
Um, I'm not I'm not sure. Actually, I think the field of repurposing, which hasn't yet come up in our conversation, is going to be quite the future, because um, green sites are, let's say, scarce, where we already have power and we have existing infrastructure that, yes, needs to be repurposed, but is precisely in the more saturated built environments. So I think how we smartly deal with the existing to repurpose and adapt to the new users, also depending on how technology evolves, will play a major role in shaping the future of the built environment as well.
Yeah, and Hyphen, you work across, I think, all types of data centers, so hyperscale,
Hmm.
colo, edge facilities.
Hmm.
Um, in terms of how your design approach adapts across these different data center types, it'd be good to understand that. But I guess there's also that need to maintain the long-term flexibility for operators because I think along with this AI, no one quite knows. Obviously, I think if you plan a data center today, by the time it comes to actually putting spades in the ground, if you like, your
Hmm.
requirements might have changed. So yeah, just how you cope with the different types of facilities and the future, which is perhaps unknown to a certain extent.
Sure. Yes, I guess it's pretty much unknown. Well, each typology has different drivers, but all of them require these adaptable frameworks that can respond to future operational change. Like you said, one design strategy which we've been applying recently, um, right at the time when AI had a really big impact on how our clients were rethinking, their plans, was to apply mixed design strategies. So instead of one or the other, we would mix up the two to allow for greater flexibility going forward. This is a bit of an abstract thought, but it actually works. We at Hyphen, we focus on flexible planning and scalable infrastructure, as well as clear design standards that support long-term performance. So, a good answer we found was mixing two design techniques, for
Yeah.
example.
And I guess sustainability and resilience would be two of the main, if not the two main, sort of non-negotiables when it comes to digital infrastructure investment. Um,
Mhm.
and be good to understand how Hyphen sort of helps clients balance the performance, the speed to market, which I know is critical, and then their
Mhm.
environmental responsibilities, which are increasingly coming under focus.
Well, the days where sustainability and resilience were add-ons are over. I think we need to treat them as financial and operational necessities from day one. When you do that, it's a lot easier to calibrate the impact and integrate it into the whole process, design and construction, and the life of the assets post handover. Early advisory works help our clients balance their energy strategy, resilience planning, and program speed while protecting long-term asset value. So again, it's a matter of early planning and day one clear brief. These have to be part of the plan. On projects such as Rio AI City, landscape environmental strategy and resilience are embedded into the master plan from the outset to protect long-term asset value while supporting delivery pace. So in this project, a particular aspect of the local fauna and flora was incorporated into the design as one of the elements that would be developed further.
Okay,
So
and
it's a
in terms,
really sorry, it's a
sorry.
really good example, is what I wanted to say, of how you can actually leverage that existing sustainability requirement into something that is making a better project.
Okay, and in terms of Hyphen's sort of business development, I think your international footprint is, continuing to grow, and
Hmm.
I think you've alluded to it earlier, but you might want to say a little bit more in terms of how important it is to have a global but sort of locally embedded model when delivering, major data center projects.
I think that fundamentally replicates the the model that our clients operate, which is a great advantage, being close to what your client is thinking, what your client wants in globally speaking. Major data center programs require global consistency alongside local regulatory and cultural deep understanding. So our network of studios enables a single global voice while remaining deeply embedded in local markets, as demonstrated across Europe and Latin America. So we have a very holistic view of the global requirements for our clients, and we have a very detailed knowledge of the local requirements, so we can balance the two and advise accordingly.
Okay, and maybe just as we're finishing, looking ahead to your first years as CEO, um, do you have any thoughts as to the biggest growth opportunities for Hyphen within this digital infrastructure sector? Maybe there are some things you don't want to share because it's sort of strategically, but just your
Sure.
general thoughts as to where you think there are some growth opportunities.
Yes, well, on the one hand, continued growth in large scale, master planned digital infrastructure and AI ready campuses. On the other hand, developing all the other critical digital infra options that are coming up in the market and evolving rapidly, um, expanding our advisory role at early project stages, supporting clients and asset at portfolio level, as well as strong long-term and land strategy level. That's where I see our role with design at the core. We're architects. That's where we thrive. So how can design uh, leverage this this kind of work is pretty much what I see Hyphen growing in.
And are there any particular geography? I mean, will you go where the work takes you, or do you have any sort of specific plans to, develop a presence in other regions? Because obviously the data center explosion, thanks to AI, I guess, is pretty much global.
That's an interesting question. We grew over time, typically where our clients took us, and that's been an amazing journey. Now we have fine-tuned that strategy slightly, so yes, we see the opportunity and we seize the opportunity, but we try to plan ahead a little bit more. Uh, our clients are global. Currently, our footprint is international, so I would say we're looking at serving our clients globally where they want to be, and that's what is driving us. We obviously have plans, but it's a little bit early days yet. However, that's what we want to really make sure of, that we have the ability to go where our clients take us. Maybe not so much the work, but it's a partnership, right?
No, that makes sense. And maybe just finally, clearly the data center market is changing very rapidly. Do you have any
Mhm.
thoughts for the different stakeholders, I guess, in the sector, what you believe will be the sort of best in class infrastructure design over the next few years? Are there any sort of key pillars that you think will either continue to be important or become important because of the way the industry is evolving?
I think design has a major role to play. That design, which is capable of aligning technical performance, commercial viability, and long-term resilience from the outset, is something I really think key to a changing industry. An integrated approach that considers infrastructure, landscape, urban context, future adaptability as a single system. So I see design as the element capable of integrating all these factors. As architects, we have a badly earned reputation, I'd say, of being designers that don't think about cost or don't think about program. Whereas to me, a good design means precisely the opposite. It's a design that is capable of producing relevant answers to all these questions.
Okay, it's been great to chat, and thank you so much for sharing so many brilliant insights into what's going on in the sector and obviously what's going on at Hyphen itself. So, Eva, really appreciate your
My
time.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.